Hello, welcome back to Naughty Boy Fight Picks. I am Todd. I'm back on the Mac, so hopefully the stream goes well. Here to do my picks and predictions for UFC 235. Heaps of MMA news during the week, big news. Maddie and I will cover that when we do the Naughty Boy MMA episode for sometime this week. Try and get it done earlier this week, I hope. Yeah, last week was a bit tricky. We both got heaps on, but yeah, want to do a good one for 235 and really get into that main card because there's so many interesting fights to discuss. I'll breeze through them today, just focusing more on picks and quickly running through why I'm picking who. So, with all that said, let's get into a pretty exciting card, UFC 235, being held in Las Vegas, Nevada, of course. First fight of the night, we have Polyana Viana out of Brazil versus Hannah Cifers out of the States. Viana 10-2, Cifers 8-3. So Cifers has had losses to pretty average fighters like Jillian Robertson, Heather Clark, etc. She got KO'd in her UFC debut. She's really, really small. Tape I watch, she appears to be a striker, and she has decent striking, but fuck, she just looks so small in there. And I think she will against Viana, who is kind of big. What's the height difference here? 4 inches, 4-inch reach disadvantage. So yeah, Cifers is just fucking tiny. Viana, she's finished all her 10 wins, is it? Yeah, she's 10-2. Finished all her 10 wins. She lost her UFC debut to JJ Aldrich. And those 2 losses she has are both fights that have gone to decision. All her wins are by finish, so nearly half and half, KO and sub, 4 KOs, 6 subs. So she's definitely a finisher. She looked decent in the UFC, not incredible, but yeah, I expect her to be too big and strong for Cifers here, and to perhaps even be able to hold her own on the feet if it comes to it. But I think she can get the fight to the ground and get a win by submission. So picking Viana there. Next fight of the night could be a fun one. Marlon Chito Vera versus Frankie Saenz. Vera 11-5, Saenz 13-5. It's crazy Saenz has a record like only 18 fights because he's been around for so long. Frankie Saenz is on a 2-fight win streak following a 3-fight streak of losses. He's been around a long time. He's got some good wins in that time. He hasn't finished anyone since 2014, and he has been KO'd twice in his career. Big factor in this fight, at these smaller weight divisions, older guys don't tend to hang around too well. Saenz is, how fucking old is he? 38. So he's really old. As for Vera, he's obviously young, I think in his mid-20s. Coming off 2 wins also. He's got a lot of submissions on his record, a few KOs. His losses are to really good guys, and he's got some wins over some decent competition. He's also been around a long time in the UFC, particularly for a young guy. I'm liking Vera in this fight. I think he's young and hungry. Saenz is looking slower and slower. And watch out for if Saenz can get the wrestling going. But yeah, I fancy Vera to win this fight on the feet and probably grab a KO. Next fight of the night, fucking weird one. It's at 135. I thought it was going to be 145. Gina Mazzani versus Macy Chiasson. Yeah, not the most exciting fight here. I think Chiasson's an Ultimate Fighter winner. if I remember correctly, I watched that and she fought a really terrible opponent in the finale. Yeah, not too much to say about this fight apart from Mazany has no good wins and some really bad losses. So I'm going to pick Chiasson here to get a win, and I'm not sure how, and I don't particularly care. On to more exciting things. Next fight of the night could be a good one. Unbeaten Edmen Shahbazyan versus Charles Byrd. Where are we? Byrd had two fights on Contender Series, won them both by submission, and then he got a submission in his UFC debut, and then in his last fight got KO'd by Darren Stewart. He was looking real good in that fight against Stewart, so I thought he was dominating, not by a huge margin, but he was definitely winning that fight up until he lost, really. He's a really powerful guy. He's got some okay striking, pretty poor defense, nice elbows in the clinch. And, yeah, like I said, he was being Stewart on the feet. As for Edmen, he's 8-0, so unbeaten. 7 of those wins have come by KO. He's really young, early 20s, I believe. He got a win on Contender Series and then came out and beat Darren Stewart by decision in his UFC debut. So not a bad effort for debut. I think Stewart's a dangerous guy. Yeah, he just looks really nasty. So could be fun. I think both guys here have some potential, but I'm thinking Edmen is going to get a KO victory in this fight. Next fight of the night. Weird one and hard one to pick. Well, maybe not. Diego Sanchez versus Mickey Gall. Sanchez 30-11. Mickey Gall 5-1. Huge experience difference in this fight, obviously. Sanchez really small for welterweight. Always has been. He's really old now. He's got pretty poor striking, very poor striking defense. And I wonder if we'll see any improvement in Mickey Gall's striking in this fight, because he's not been setting the world alight either with his stand-up. Having said that, so Sanchez always wrestles. That's like always part of his path to victory. I'm just wondering if that's going to run him into trouble against the much bigger Mickey Gall. Sanchez is relentless, and he's, I don't know, he's came out and won his last fight, but it was against a very poor opponent. Mickey Gall wasn't amazing, but yeah, I just like Gall's chance of getting a submission here, and kind of interested to see how this plays out on the feet. With, guess Sanchez will maybe have an advantage on the feet unless Gall's improved. So we shall see. But picking Mickey Gall by submission now, I think he's going to be big and strong and be able to get the grappling going. Next fight of the night, another really fun one. Cody Stamann versus Alejandro Perez. What we got here? So Perez has only lost 1 of his 9 UFC fights. He also has a draw in there. Has not faced a wrestler the level of Stamann yet, I don't believe. He tends to get into really even striking matches in like almost all of his fights. So he went to a split decision with Sukmantov and then had really close fights with Wineland and Alcantara. I think a lot of people thought Wineland beat him. If I recall correctly, I thought Wineland beat him too. Just for the fact Perez likes to counterpunch, and he'll often do fuck all and just wait for the counter. I see that so much in MMA. But when he does get the opportunity to counter, he is pretty dangerous. He's got a really nice, particularly nice long right hand. As for Stamann, he came into the UFC and won 3 fights before losing to Aljamain Sterling, that Sualev stretch last year. Pretty notable moment in MMA last year, so I'm sure people remember it. He also has a tendency to go to quite close decisions. He's really fast and mobile, kind of got that similar to like that Team Alpha Male style kind of the way those guys who like to wrestle strike. Really good wrestling. Obviously, the wrestling was quite interesting between him and Aljamain, quite back and forth until he got subbed. And Stamann really likes to pressure. Yeah, I just think Stamann's tough. I can't see Perez knocking him out, and I think Stamann will be really busy and active. He's not the type to sit around. I mean, unless Perez can like hurt him with a counter and keep him off him, but yeah, I just don't think that's likely. So I think Cody can mix up the wrestling and the pressure on the feet to get a win here. He'll need to watch out for those counters because his style is to come forward. But yeah, I think he can get it done. So picking Stamann by decision here. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a close-ish decision, but I don't know. I think Stamann's had success against better fighters than Perez has. Stamann's got that win over Caraway, which is pretty tough fight. Yeah, so Stamann by decision. Next fight of the night, also exciting. So many good matchups on this card. It's yeah, incredible. When you look at these cards, like the ones we've been getting this year so far, it's like, oh, when are they going to get real shit? Because all the fighters are have been used up on these cards. Cirkunov versus Johnny Walker. Misha Cirkunov is 14-4. Johnny Walker 13-3. So similar experience-wise, though Misha has been around the UFC for longer. Cirkunov recently suffered back-to-back KOs versus Volkan, Ozdemir, and Glover Teixeira. And then he came back and got a submission win in his last fight versus Cummings. Looked pretty good there. Wrestled with Cummings, who is known for his wrestling, and kind of got him down to the ground, got him into a mount, and then got the head and arm choke. Hey, what's up, Shake? Oh, you missed out on Pride card? Fuck. Damn. What was I saying? Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, Cirkunov. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's got a decent ground game and some okay stand-up. This is a real big step up for Johnny Walker. And yeah, hard to tell what will happen, but he just seems so dangerous. I don't know if Cirkunov is the guy to stop him. He could very well be, but yeah, Cirkunov does tend to end up in the clinch quite a bit. And I think, as we've seen, Walker's clinch is so dangerous, him being so tall, and that could spell trouble. I'm just going on a hunch here, and I'm definitely not betting this fight, but I'm picking Walker by KO. I think he's going to catch Cirkunov with something. Next fight of the night, also an excellent matchup. And there's heaps of these fights on this card where it's like prospect versus experienced guy, for a lack of a better way to put it, which are real fun matchups. I like those ones. You get to find out. I mean, like last week when we found out that Peter Yan is the real deal, the way he beat Dodson. Fucking loved that fight. Jeremy Stephens, 28-15 versus Zabit Magomed Sharipov, 17-1. I think everyone loves to see Sharipov. There's a lot of discussion about him being overrated and whatnot, and he may well be, but I guess that's the beauty of this. We get to find out. Stephens coming off that KO loss to Jose Aldo, which I'm sure most of you enjoyed a great deal. I fucking did. Prior to that KO, he was on a 3-fight win streak. I think he beat Emmett and Doo Ho Choi, and I forget the other opponent. Zabit is on a 12-fight win streak. 4 of those fights have come in the UFC, and 3 of those wins have come by way of submission. Sorry if you can hear the air conditioner, but it's fucking hot in here today. I'm kind of erring on the side of Zabit being too much for Stephens. Stephens been around, he's had a long career. And I'm not particularly sure about this, but yeah, once again, just a hunch. But I'm thinking Zabit's going to be too much. I think he's going to land kicks to the body when they're standing. Be interesting to see if he can get the grappling going, because I think that's where he's really strong. His striking is fun to watch and entertaining, and he hurts guys on the feet. But I wonder if he can get the grappling going against Steven, because I think that's where he's really strong, man. He looks deceptively strong for such a long, wiry dude. He throws dudes around, and dudes that are being touted as wrestlers as well. Shake saying Zabit a bit overrated, but I reckon he can take Stephens. Yeah, I guess we're gonna find out this weekend. If he gets a convincing win over Stephens, then we know he's probably not necessarily a challenger, but definitely a prospect and perhaps top 5 guy. Bro, I need a verse. You're barking up the wrong tree, man. I ain't written a rap in 3 years. Sorry. Yeah, I think Zabit can land kicks to the body, play range, and outstrike Stephens. And yeah, definitely think he's a better grappler if it goes there. So I'm picking Zabit by decision. It'll be interesting to see if Stephens takes a loss here. He's kind of back in no man's land again. Next fight of the night. Former champion. It feels weird that he was the champion now, like so much fucking happened. Cody Garbrandt, still ranked number 2 for some reason, versus number 8th ranked Pedro Munoz. Cody coming off those 2 losses to TJ. I wonder, he's really young, so yeah, I wonder how those losses have affected him. I imagine he would have regrouped and kind of got his drive and motivation back, I would imagine. Pedro's coming off of that KO of Brian Caraway, the nasty body kick. That was pretty excellent. Yeah, I can't see Pedro getting this fight to the ground. Cody's never been taken down in his UFC career. Perhaps he hasn't fought a grappler as good as Pedro, has he? I don't think so. But yeah, he's just so fast and good with his footwork. I can't see Pedro getting this to the ground. And if it stays standing, Pedro's really slow on the feet. And obviously, Cody is maybe one of the fastest guys we've ever seen in this division with his hands. So Pedro's never been finished, but he may not have been hit with punches like Cody throws. But nonetheless, I'm picking Cody by decision here. And I think this could end up looking pretty comfortable for him. But an exciting matchup nonetheless. Next fight of the night. Weird one, like amongst all these really exciting, interesting fights on the main card, we've got Tecia Torres versus, man, I heard how to say this properly before. It's, how do they say it? Zhang Weili? Yeah. Zhang lost her very first professional fight and then has won 17 since. Probably not against great competition. She's won her first 2 UFC fights. She's also finished 16 of those 18 wins she has. Really strong and aggressive, but she has not had the strongest competition. I noticed I forget which fight it was, one of her UFC fights, that she did some weird shit when she was defending strikes on the feet. Like, you know, those instinctual reactions where people kind of curl up and do really poor defense, which is concerning. for a pro fighter who's had so many fights, and would be indicative of like the level of competition she's faced. As for Torres, she's coming off 2 losses to Joanna and Andrade, so really hard fights there. Torres, in a whole record, only has ever finished 1 opponent. She's also never been finished herself. She's kind of like a compact wrestle boxer type fighter. I'm thinking Zhang can outmuscle Tisha. She looks so strong and physical, and therefore I'm picking her to get this fight to the ground. Don't know if she'll sub Tisha, but I'm picking her to win a decision. I'm not sure what the striking is going to look like. I haven't, because Zhang looks like quite good offensively when she's striking, but her defense looks quite poor. And yeah, I agree. And Tisha is quite, if you're a fighter who's prone to getting what's the word, kind of flustered on the feet, then Tisha's a bad matchup because she flurries forward with millions of punches. And yeah, so I'm not really sure about this one, and definitely not betting it, but I am going to pick Zhang, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tisha got up there. Next fight of the night. This is real fucking interesting. I got a super chat too if you want to make me rich. Help me get rich. Obviously, I don't expect you to. That's ridiculous. Next fight of the night. Number 6 ranked Robbie Lawler, former champion, returns versus Ben Askren, making his debut. Lawler is 28-12. Ben Askren 18-0, unbeaten. So much to say about this fight. Robbie Lawler is one of my all-time faves. I think his title reign at welterweight, that series of fights, is maybe the most exciting and violent title reigns we've ever seen in the UFC. Shit was so epic. And yeah, Robbie's been, I think his last fight was the end of December. Yeah, versus RDA, where he lost the decision December 2017. So he's been out for quite a while now. And just, you know, the title run I was talking about, he was in some fucking wars over that period, and wondering how he's going to bounce back after a long break. He obviously lost his title to Woodley, got knocked out real early, came back, got a win against Cerrone, didn't look amazing there, and then lost that decision to RDA, where he also didn't look amazing. As for Askren, he's been the champion over and won, and from the fights I've watched, hasn't been facing very tough competition. Having said that, he is unbeaten and experienced, and obviously a real good wrestler. He looks fucking terrible and awkward on the feet. I don't think he's for anyone as good as Robbie Lawler. It's just a matter of how good is Robbie Lawler today. I was about to say not a chance I would bet this fight. I've put like a little play on Robbie Lawler on the off chance that he still has something left. Sheikh saying Lawler's Askren's just going to wrestle him out of this one. Yeah, there's a real good chance of that, right? And I don't want to see that happen, so I'm being super hopeful. And I put a 2-unit play on Lawler. He's paying like $3.25, so I think I got it covered in my other plays. So betting with my heart, which is ridiculous. Lawler has a really nice uppercut. I think he might be able to hit Askren with it. Askren's chin looks pretty good because he gets hit a lot because he has no striking defense whatsoever. But yeah, his chin appears to hold up, but I don't know. Has he faced a puncher with real power? Robbie isn't. his KOs and wins usually come from accumulative damage. So yeah, it's hard to say. Like, he doesn't really have stopping power, but his takedown defense improved over his career. So I don't know. I'm just hoping he can keep Askren off him and drop him. So I'm picking a Lawler by KO, which is a super hopeful pick here. Mostly expecting Askren to get him down and wrestle fuck him for the entire fight. Next fight of the night, another super interesting one. Champion Tyron Woodley versus Kamaru Usman. Woodley 19-3, Kamaru 13-1. Who is that lost to? I've been thinking about this fight heaps. Usman is obviously the Nigerian Michael. I don't find Kamaru that boring. I kind of enjoy his fights. But yeah, wrestle heavy, pressure shit. Not dissimilar to his arch enemy Colby. I do still wish that this was Colby versus Tyron in this fight, but what can you do? Yeah, the more I think about this fight, I don't know, like, Usman does seem like a problem, and he could be a problem for Tyron, but I just keep thinking at some point he's going to get hit in this fight because his style is to be on Tyron. And you see when people get in there with Tyron, he's a scary dude. Like, people don't like to get in close with him, but Kamaru has to win this fight. And it seems like that's probably a disaster waiting to happen because he's going to eat something. And Tyron, as we know, has incredible power. And I can't see Usman getting him down. Maybe he can, but yeah. Yeah, fuck. Just looking at Usman's record now, he is a decision machine, eh? He's had one finish in his last 8 fights. He's on a big streak, though. His sole loss was in CFA in his second fight, where he got RNC. What's Woodley's streak like now? Must be pretty impressive. Woodley. Yeah, Woodley hasn't lost in 7 fights. That includes that draw with Stephen Thompson. Yeah, Louis makes a good point there, saying that Woodley training with Askren would have helped him out with his wrestling. But yeah, I can't see Woodley losing this. I'm pretty confident that he wins. It's just like, he's a good wrestler. He's got punching power to keep Usman off him. Usman isn't a great striker. He's a bit clunky and awkward. But he throws some, like, he hurts people on the feet and gets some damage off. But yeah, I can't go past Woodley. I bet against Woodley. I think I bet against him. I definitely picked against him in the Till fight, and I got fucking shown there. So, yeah, Woodley probably by KO. Because I think Usman's pretty hard-headed, man. He might be a guy that, despite the danger, will keep coming at Tyron, and he'll get clipped. So, yeah, Woodley by KO, which brings us to final fight of the night. Champion, recently recrowned champion, Jon Bones Jones versus Anthony Smith. Jones 23-1, although it's really 24-0. Anthony Smith 31-13. Fuck, Smith's nearly had 50 fights. Crazy. yeah, no one's really giving Smith a chance here, and probably for good reason. It would be so incredible if he was the guy to beat John Jones. It would be the best way for it to happen. I mean, yeah, Smith, fuck it. I don't know how you could not like Anthony Smith. He seems like the loveliest dude in the world. He's really smart, thoughtful, introspective, and just kind of the way he's came up. Like didn't he get fucking ousted from the UFC and then went on the regional scene and then came back? I just want to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that happened. Floundered around in middleweight for a while, then came up to light heavy and started knocking out old men, and now finds himself in a title fight. So yeah, so he was in the UFC back in 2013, lost 2 fights, then went to VFC, went to Bellator, went to EB, CWFC, RFA, VFC. So he just fought fucking everywhere. Yeah, his fights, what's going to happen? I mean, like, I think the clearest advantage here, like, you got to favor Jones in any department in this fight. But the clearest advantage he has is to put Smith on his back and pound him out or sub him. But I know Jones is just a supremely confident fighter, and he may just choose to keep it standing. Wonder for Smith to make things interesting here or to get off some damage. I think like he's outskilled everywhere, so he's got to create chaos and make this fight fucking ugly. And I think I kind of trust Smith to try and do that. I think this dude's got heart. It's in his nickname. And I think he might go after him. Louis saying that Jones was saying after his last fight he wants to take more fighters down and use BJJ. Well, yeah, this is his opportunity if that's what he's wanting to do. Jones used to wrestle a lot more early in his career and then just started beating dudes up on the feet. And I guess if you can beat them there, then you don't need to use your wrestling. But he did against Gus, took Gus down. I think he will do that here, but I'm hoping Anthony, man, it would be the most incredible thing maybe to ever happen in the UFC if Smith beat Jones, but I just can't see it happening. Would it be more surprising than, say, what was the one? Nunes versus Cyborg or Holm versus Rousey? Those were both pretty shocking upsets. But yeah, I have to pick Jones here, and I don't think it'll take him long. Although he does like to get a read on his opponent, and he kind of, it's like he's sparring and just making reads. And so perhaps second or third. Smith is tough. He did get knocked for being chinny back in the day, but he's looked better at light heavy in terms of his durability. So might stick around for a bit. But yeah, picking Jones, probably ground and pound, TKO or something of that nature. I'll just quickly go over the plays I've made for this card so far. Don't laugh at me when I say I've got a play on Robbie Lawler, okay? I haven't played them yet, but I'll tell you some I'm thinking about. Let me know what you think. I'm thinking about playing Shabazian versus Charles Byrd. I'm thinking about playing, who was it? Walker versus Serkinov, which is a ridiculous play. I probably won't do that. Just thinking it through in my head now. I'm sure there was another one. Maybe not. I'll go through what I got. So I got 6 units on Tyron Woodley to beat Usman at $1.58. 2 units on Lawler to beat Askren at $3.25. And Then I've got Woodley and Fishgold from last week, parlayed 4 units on that. I got Garbrandt, Marlon Vera, and Pollyanna Viana parlayed together, 3 units on that. And then I got Cody Stamen and Magomed Sharapov parlayed together. And I'll probably put a couple more on during the week. That's me. I got to go do some stuff. Thanks heaps for joining me. We'll be back with the Naughty Boy MMA episode 4. Hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll hassle Maddie and we'll get it done. And yeah, looking forward to doing that. Plus, we'll probably do a short recap on UFC Prague as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it heaps. See you soon. Good luck with your bets.